welcome everyone to the 2024 Vanguard Beach Volleyball Season Preview. I'm here with head coach Kris Dorn, head coach of the national champion, reigning national champion Vanguard Lions. First ever national title last year complete, and coach, I guess the season hasn't come soon enough, has it?
No, it's certainly great to reflect and take those moments and celebrate. And again, like, celebration still takes time, right? You have that initial shockwave of like, we did it, and explosion. But then actually, it's the reflective pieces that are all, I think, the more beautiful part of that tapestry, right? Of like being able to reflect, being able to have conversations, being able to kind of remove yourself a little bit has been, an incredible thing. But you're right, we can't wait to play.
I know we're talking about the 2024 season and a new season ahead, and obviously looking at what's right there in front of you, but I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about the national championship season. This program had come so close to getting there. It had come within one match of winning the title, and it experienced some heartbreak along the way, quite frankly. What has it done for the program? Has it changed anything in terms of now being national champion? Was it a validation thing or what?
Yeah, great question. It's interesting to look back because all four times we were in the finals had much different takeaways, right? Like much different learning experiences from each of those. And so I think the biggest thing is I know you and I talked at pre-interview, but there were so many obstacles last year. And so I think in a way, not that that makes it sweeter, but I think that the lessons we had to learn pre-championship really built into our character and our perseverance and some of those things like that we had to do hard things the whole year. And obviously that pays off when you get to the end of the season. So it was so much fun to watch those ladies just continue to issue, let's cement back together. Issue, let's cement back together. Issue, let's cement back together. And they really just lived that ideal that we try and do, which is, hey, it's you and I versus the problem. It's you and I versus the obstacle. It's you and I getting to that goal together, no matter what it looks like right now. And so I think it's more of that reflective piece of, as a program, we've proven to be able to do that, right, at the highest level we possibly could. So.
And when you look at last year's team going into this year, there were some losses, but also lots of returners. When you look at the top pair, the pair of the year, the GSEC pair of the year, you had Morgan Nash and Conley Harris. They have now graduated, but you do bring back what was your number 2 pair, yes. Emma Galloway and Hannah Wilmus. Let's start there with what they accomplished last year, both all-conference players, and obviously bring a ton of leadership to this roster. What have they been like going into the season?
Yeah, that's been fun to watch. I'm glad you brought up the leadership piece too, because again, you and I both know that it's always great to return people with knowledge and with wisdom and now experience and those kind of things in their playing ability. But really it goes so much farther when you have depth of character and they know the little ins and outs, or they know how to fight for the culture well, or they know how to, even have conflict, right? Because we talk about what does our culture of honor look like? What does healthy conflict look like? And so now we had 5, now we have 6 returners back who all buy into that, who've seen it done well, and who are not just coming back with the game knowledge, but also can guide people and help us fight for the right things. So that's been a huge benefit. As you said, lost 2 All-Americans, so that's tough no matter what. And fortunately for us, we were able to, we see Conley every once in a while, and then Morgan, we snagged into being an assistant coach, so she's still being able to be a great influence. But you're right, it's some of those upperclassmen, and I think Emma and Hannah could potentially be another partnership this year, and we'll be fighting for the 1 spot. So it's going to be fun to see how they all get in the mix. But all returners bring back a wealth of knowledge.
Now, you mentioned Morgan Nash being an assistant coach. She played with her sister last year, Maddie Nash, and Maddie Nash is back also. She was a part of the number 3s last year with, I believe, was it Emily Hall? And so, being that they were competitors in practice and teammates during the matches, and now you have a coach-player relationship, how has that changed the just the interaction part, or has it?
No, it definitely changes the dynamic, right? It's a different dynamic. No matter how you slice it, it is a little bit of a power dynamic, right? It has to be in a way. And they're going to be we've talked about it, both Morgan and I and Maddie and I, and they've talked about it together, so it's just going to be a balance, right? It's always you can't bring stuff home with you anyway. And then when you're family already, there's already a dynamic there that you got to be careful of. So they're both very respectful. They love each other very much. And so it's definitely going to be like, okay, we can do these things, we can't do these things. But it's also fun to watch. And I've gotten to coach my sister in the past too. So there's always a balance you need to get. How much have I invested in their love bank and vice versa? And then can we make some withdrawals when we mess up?
Right.
Yeah.
Mix and match.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you introduce these two, but they were part of the number 4 pair last year, and they had lost to Corbin. Of course, you guys beat Corbin in the national championship match. They had lost their earlier match, I believe, in pool play at fours, and came back and were the clinching victory at that spot. What do you recall about that and them being able to do that?
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We lost everybody, and remember we lost to Corbin twice that first day because we had to do like a playoff round out of the pool play. So, it was so much fun just to watch them just come together at a different level. And all of our teams, again, have experienced adversity. All of our teams and partnerships. Our partnerships were mostly the same throughout the year. We had some changes due to injuries and that, but they were a pretty faithful duo. And to kind of see them kind of dive to another level.
And it was Bailey Coffin
and Maddie.
And Maddie.
I'm sorry. Madison Arnold.
Madison Arnold.
And yeah, just to kind of see them take it up a different notch. And again, I think anytime you want to take something up, you got to go deeper, right? So I think they did a really good job of like, hey, what's an even deeper investment into each other and into like what you need, what I need, and seeing that come to fruition. And yeah, like it's like watching in slow motion. I think I'm vividly picturing being on the court with Emily Hall and Maddie Nash, and they just caught up 14-14 in the third set, and I just turn over and Morgan and Conley are on the ground celebrating, and then I literally turn over and I get to see Bailey hit the last hit of the match. It's really cool to kind of be able to pull back on that and just, what they accomplished certainly as part of the bigger unit, but like just to watching a phenomenal execution there. So.
Now, my question is you've been with these gals during preseason practices and all the trainings and everything. In winning a national championship, is this team even more hungry now to get back to where they were? What is their mindset right now going into the season?
Good question. I think with the returners, it's, is knowing that and then obviously the more times I can do that, the more easy it is to be confident, and I can kind of look back at those moments. And I think it's one of those, so the returners have that, like we've done this. Like they knew they could get to the finals, but now we've done it. And so I think that adds a tremendous amount of confidence. And so there comes with that it's not a swagger, because our girls don't have, like they don't carry themselves that way, but like there is certainly that next level of confidence of like we know what's expected and we know how to get there. And the newcomers we have phenomenal people and great players, and so that's been great to like have them already know what we were about and then be able to jump into that. Again, because you got to play with that balance of you want to be ultra competitive. There is obviously the goal to every competition is to win, even if it's just you and I playing checkers, right? The goal is to put yourself in a position to win. So that's still the healthy pressure there. Fail and strive and flirt, in that process. So that's been a lot of fun to watch. The expectation, but also the grace that we give ourselves to get there.
You said newcomers, 9 in total, 5 freshmen, a handful of transfers. You have a very strong faith, and so when you go about recruiting these new athletes to your program, you obviously have something in mind other than just sheer talent and ability to win. You want somebody that fits the culture. How does that play into, how do this new crop of girls that are on the roster, how do they fit that culture?
That's a great question. Again, everybody's an individual, right? So we're all on our own. Actually that's one of the reasons we love college age is because for some people it's a realization of like, oh, this was my parents' faith growing up, and now it needs to be something different because it's really about the relationship with God and myself, right? Mm-hmm. We don't mandate that everybody is a believer or confesses to be a believer to start with, but we're certainly looking for that heart posture of, am I open to this? And I do have the characteristics and the character of what we're looking for, of the willingness to step into vulnerability, the willingness to realize that I need to get better, the willingness that I want to contribute and will actively contribute to an environment and a culture that demands accountability, discipline, and love and care. And so that's the overall picture. And then I try and be very clear on that's why I act out of that, and that's why the program is kind of in that bent, let's say. And I think that's why one of the reasons they're attracted to coming is that we get to buy into that together. We get to buy into this sisterhood, this family concept that does, for a lot of us, have the deep roots of connection of faith in God and the relationship with Jesus Christ that may or may not have come to fruition for them yet. So I don't know if that helps paint the picture.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking at who these players are, I know for fans that are listening to this, they're going to want to know a little bit about some of these newcomers. So can you give me a little bit of a rundown on what we can expect as soon as they hit the sand?
Yeah, some of that will be a surprise. But we've been really blessed with a class that, again, we really just have, I'm giving away too much. But we have literally one rule on the sand and one unspoken rule. The one rule on the sand is that we work hard. And it's been one of the joys of my job is the amount of times that I have to actually draw attention to that rule is, 1% of our practices. That drive is in them. It is, and our job is basically kind of continue to pull that out. So 5 freshmen who don't honestly have a ton of collective beach volleyball experience as far as number of years in the sand, number of jumps in the sand, who have just picked up things phenomenally well, are extremely spongy, with their coachability. And then, we will probably have one of those will be potentially in our top 3-4 pairings. So that'll be a surprise, but that'll be coming out this Friday. If there's potential for at least one of the freshmen to be up in there. And then all 4 transfers coming with some beach experience at the junior college level have been making a great impact. And I think transfers can bring a different perspective too. Whether they had a phenomenal experience in the junior college or a miserable experience in the junior college, they come in kind of knowing a little bit what to fight for as well. And so we will see transfers most likely at our, it could be 3s, 4s, 5s. So it's going to be, we got some interesting battles on our hands, so it's going to be good.
It'll all play out over time.
Yeah.
Which takes us to the schedule. And one of the things that I definitely wanted to touch on is the fact that you guys have a target on your back. Obviously being national champions, but more so than that, just having been so dominant in the Golden State Athletic Conference, having not lost a match for 3 straight years, 34-match regular season winning streak against GSAC opponents going into this year, and that will be tested right off the bat with the season opener this Friday against the Masters. How does this team handle the whole concept of having a target on their back?
Again, I think that the returner, one of the benefits of being a returner is you understand that, and we have to balance sometimes as coaches is we want to reflect on those things because those are incredible things. Just like the national championship, it's an incredible thing to look back on. It's also kind of insane to have that record over the last 3 years, and that was, winning outright is never a goal of ours. It's always giving ourselves to put ourselves in a position to win and to do that. And so that's been a huge blessing to have those kind of 3 seasons in a row. We didn't expect any of that at any season going into that point. So, but the nice thing again is the returners come back and they set the tone of no, we are going to have a target on our back. We are going to get everybody's best. And frankly, as competitors, we should want the best across the net from us because it's going to pull the best out of us. Right, and I would much rather beat somebody at their best than having to rise to my occasion, or rising to the occasion there. So they've done a really good job of kind of setting that precedent of this is our attitude, which again, going back to, but we also need to give grace to ourselves. We also need to fail to get better. And so that, we do have a very strong, very tough schedule, but you're right, we also don't have the benefit of kind of having preseason matches to build up into it. We open right conference, and Masters is a strong team. So.
And last year, even in winning the national championship, even in winning the GSAC regular season and tournament titles for the 3rd straight year both, there were a number of matches last year where the opponent got a point or even a couple of points off. So what is the talent level right now of the conference going into this season, and how tough will it be to repeat again?
Yeah, there's a lot of returners within the conference. So we have multiple strong schools that will be representing the GSAC this year. So, and again, Ottawa has been one of our rivals over the last years. Last 2 years they've been in the national championship as well. So it's going to be tough all around. And I think there's potential to say it'll be more tough straight top to bottom than we have been in the past. I think teams are going to be more evenly matched as far as their experience coming back, and then some of the newcomers that we've seen already come out of the roster. So,
and you've done a great job of mixing in some NCAA Division I and Division II opponents. I think this year you have Long Beach State again, Arizona, Boise State, San Francisco. Give us kind of a brief rundown of those opponents and how they help sharpen iron, so to speak.
Yeah, it's going to be, again, I think we're at Pepperdine 3 days this year, and some of that is hosting those people, or playing those people at their place. It's a great, right now it gets to be a bonus for us, right? We don't have to compete for them at a national championship level. So even though we consider every national championship match and that's our driving force, we also understand with the grace piece is like, okay, that I also need to come back and be a student of the game. And so if I'm coming back and I just got walloped, by Pepperdine, who's, I can't remember what they're ranked right now preseason, but if I just get walloped by a preseason ranking or somebody who's legit in the Division I realm, it's, okay, that's great, but what can I learn and what can I take into the next team or the next opponent or back to our level of NAIA? So our girls right now get to kind of have that mindset of like, we can still give our all, and if our all means still a loss, then what are we going to do with that? And so last year we saw that played out. The year before we saw that play out very well. So we're looking forward to that kind of same experience here. Tough opponents, but that we can come back and hey, let's go back to the chalkboard. So.
And then obviously you guys are #1 preseason NAIA going into the year. You'll also be playing some tough NAIA teams like Westcliff, which got a win off of you last year, and St. Catherine. They're top 10 teams in NAIA, so definitely a tough all around.
It's really fun.
Last question.
Yeah.
This is the final year of NAIA competition, which has been a theme throughout the athletic department this year with all of the teams as we're heading to NCAA Division II starting next year. I mean, it seems obvious that, yes, of course, it's important to want to go out with another national championship, but really to cement that legacy of NAIA and to seal the history, so to speak, how important is it to try to get that second straight national championship and sort of put a lid on the NAIA before heading to the NCAA level?
Good question. And this isn't the first time my wife and I have kind of been in a similar situation at a school somewhere. So I'm going to say the exact opposite. I'm going to say I think it's more important to take all that out of it, because no matter what the reality is, this is our last year of NAIA. So I think if we start to add weight to those conversations of like how we're going to lead, then I think we kind of lose sight of our goal, including like preseason rankings. Like preseason rankings, it's an honor. It's great. It's obviously based a lot on how we finished last year. And so we need to take that for what it is, and it's complimentary. It's a great thing to help us motivate ourselves. And also that, by Friday, that does not matter. Right now, we're at a stage where we need to earn everything we do, point to point to point. So I think we actually try and do the opposite of like, instead of focusing on what we can leave in our legacy, it's like your legacy will happen if you're doing the right things. And so that's what we want to do is, we work hard every single day in practice. So if we're the ones out there, like last couple of days where it's been pouring down on us, but we're still putting our work in, going at the butt crack of dawn, like those things are playing into our character of our program, which is going to leave much more of a legacy than us trying to attain something specific, if that makes sense.
Gotcha.
So obviously still going through wins, still putting ourselves in a position to be successful, but really if you look back at our alumni and the people we have on our roster now, like my goodness, we've been blessed with people, young ladies of such tremendous character. Our assistant coach has been phenomenal. That's really more of a piece of the legacy, right? It's great to have the records and the trinkets and now the ring. But I think that's what we're trying to do is, hey, this is our year to do what we can in this year, and that's going to be developing our character. So.
Well, fans, you're going to find out sooner rather than later about this team. Again, this Friday, season opener at the Masters. Will culminate with Vanguard hosting the GSAC Championship in Huntington Beach at the Brookhurst and PCH courts, and then hopefully a return trip to the National Championship Tournament. Coach, thank you for your time, and look forward to it.
Appreciate it.